One of the chief complaints people have from life is the question, why is there any suffering at all in my life? Why is my life not happening according to my wishes? Why do I have to suffer so much? Or why do I have to suffer at all? Now, whenever this question is asked, a quite common answer that people receive is that self help quote of your life is happening for you, not to you. And therefore, your life, your suffering is an opportunity to grow. And while that may be true, I genuinely feel that for a person who's going through something, who's going through a suffering phase in their life, this answer can actually make them pull their hair off, or even worse, pull the hair off of the person who's actually giving them this answer. And like I said, while this is true that suffering is an opportunity, today I want to take this opportunity to build deeper on this topic. Why doesn't our life happen according to our wishes? So, if you're in the middle of this question in your own life, or you can relate to it because you're human, stay with me till the end of this video. I genuinely think that this video will be time well spent on the internet today. Let's get into it. Hello, good people of the internet. Welcome to another episode in Ask a Human, Not an AI. It's been quite a number of days since I did such an episode, but the question I have today for you is a beautiful question, like all the questions in the series so far, right? This is an anonymous question, and the question is, why don't things go the way I want? Why doesn't God or life listen to me? Are my wants that big? Why does life keep trying to teach me, even though I've learned the lesson, or I don't want to learn anymore? Why does it keep pushing me away from things and someone that I admire? You said life is happening for you, not to you. I did. From being to what I can become, the path is going through so much trauma and so much stress in case I'm not getting the results the way I want, even though I'm working hard. What can and should I do? Please help me out. Such a beautiful, such a powerful, such a vulnerable question. And I genuinely love it the way you have framed it. And when I first went through this question, I honestly could feel that there is so many things that I want to say here, so many things that I want to unpack here, that if I just turn on my camera and start saying, it'll be, I guess, a couple of hours till I could stop the recording. So I've prepared a three-part response for you. This is not going to take a couple of hours, but I have noted down three key points that I want to talk about. And let's do just that. The first point will be the overarching narrative that you're building out of it. I want you to see how this idea, the framing that you've given, your question is, why don't things go the way I want? Why doesn't God or life listen to me? Why does life keep teaching me things that I don't want to learn or that I've already learned, etc.? I want you to see how this framing, don't be embarrassed by it, but understand how this framing is quite similar to how a child behaves towards his or her parents. Consider the example of a 2 year old or a 3 year old kid. Now, that kid is, of course, completely dependent on his or her parents, and therefore, there is sort of a relationship which forms between this kid and this parent, wherein the kid would assume that if I have any need, if I have any want, my parents should either be able to sense it and get it for me, or they should be, or if I've told them that this is my need, this is my want, my parents should go out of their way to actually achieve it for me and fulfill my needs. And consider the scenario where this does not happen, where this is not met, that the child has a few needs or a few wants which the parent is not able to fulfill. Now, one extreme scenario could be that that kid starts to assume that something is wrong with me, and therefore my parents are maybe angry at me, and therefore I need to be ashamed of myself. I need to apologize to my parents. I need to repent in front of my parents so that they will actually give me what I want, and so that I don't have to suffer anymore. Or this child could form a pattern of action wherein he would go completely opposite to his or her parents, completely start to act in a direction which is absolutely away from what his or her parents want, to actually maybe try to teach them a lesson. Now, both of these are extreme scenarios, but I want you to see how, even as adults, we react that way when we're thinking about life or when we're thinking about God. So many of us never outgrow this kind of relationship we have with life, with God. Unfortunately, it's also the case with our parents and their parents and their parents, because this is a human problem. Almost every human being feels this way at some point in their life. And this relationship with God, with life that they have not outgrown, comes out especially in situations where things don't go the way we were planning them to go. Now I want you to understand that life is not like that. We are not entirely at the mercy of nature, we are not entirely at the mercy of life with a capital L. Well, in fact, firstly, I also want to tell you that you must understand that there is no such God up there who is looking down at you, keeping records of what you have done, what you need, etc., doing that for every single human being on this planet and making sure that everyone's needs are being met. This is again that same childish idea we have about our parents, which we associate with the word God as well. There is no such God up there. And therefore, when I say that our life is not like that, we are not in that kind of a relationship with life. We are not in that kind of a relationship with nature. Quite literally, one mature way of understanding what is a real relationship with life with a capital L, with life as a capital whole, or rather with the word God as we want to use it, is the fact that we are co-creators of our lives. It's almost like I said previously, there is no God up there who has written down everything already in a register somewhere, and then things are happening one after the other. It doesn't work like that. Our lives are not predetermined to that extent. Of course, there is a fate, there is a resultant momentum from the past, but our life emerges as our life emerges. And we get to have a say in it. Whether we realize consciously or not, we do have a free will. If you want to understand the concept of free will better, go check out my podcast episodes on the topic of free will. But like I said, we are all co creators of our reality. And there is no God up there who has already written down everything. We do get to have a choice in what is happening with our life. Now, there is a very famous story which I want to quote here. It uses the image of God in the picture that I've just told you. It doesn't, God doesn't exist like that, but I hope you will be able to draw the point. The story goes something like this. There was a guy who was stuck at the roof of his house when there was a flood happening all around him. And he was just stuck there. Now, this guy was a devout theist, so he was praying to his God for help. And what happens is there is a rowboat that comes over, and the guy inside says, "Come down, I'll help you. I'll row this boat along with you, and we'll be safe. I'll save you." This guy says, "No, I'm praying to my God. He will save me." This guy goes away. Then a motorboat comes along and says the same thing. He says to him, "Come down, I'll lend you a helping hand, and we'll be safe. I'll take you away in my motorboat." This guy says, "No, I'm praying to my God. He will save me. You may go." This guy goes away. Then a damn helicopter comes over and throws down a rope and asks this guy to just hold the rope and we'll save you. He says, "No, I'm praying to my God. My God will come save me." Lo and behold, the guy drowns in the flood, dies, goes up to heaven, and reaches God and asks him, "I prayed to you so much, I was so devout, why didn't you save me?" And the God says, "Of course, I sent you a rowboat, I sent you a motorboat, I sent you a helicopter, and you didn't listen." Now, the real gist of this story is that even though there is life or there is God happening for you, you have to understand that you still have to make a choice to let it happen for you. And this is what we usually miss out. Now, the long and short of this entire thing for you is that I want you to start becoming aware of things that could be happening in your life that are quite literally happening for you to take you away from that flood, but you are not being able to make a choice to actually be freed from that flood. It could be that life is sending you so many signals all around you, which may actually help you, escape what is happening around you, escape the suffering that you're in. But you're so caught up in the suffering, you're so caught up in the emotional drama of everything that is happening, that you're rejecting even the safety nets that life is throwing at you. Start becoming aware of them and co-create your reality. And when we are talking about co creating our reality, that layers very easily into the next point that I want to teach you, the law of attraction. Now, the law of attraction is something which I feel is quite misinterpreted, quite misappropriated, quite misused in the self help and the self improvement circles. And I actually recorded a video in Hindi talking in much detail about how the law of attraction is again misused and how it's misinterpreted and how you can actually use it to your own advantage. If you understand Hindi, you should go check out that video. If you do not, I will spend some time here briefly summarizing what I want you to understand from the law of attraction and how it is relevant here. The law of attraction, according to me, is one of the most fundamental laws which govern how our lives work. And this is not something voodoo. A lot of people consider law of attraction to be something absolutely voodoo, wherein if you think positive things happen for you. If you manifest something negative, something negative will actually happen for you. All of that is true to some extent, but that is not what I want to discuss here. What I want you to look at is that we look at the law of attraction in this manner. What can I attract in my life? What I want you to focus on is the other way around. What am I attracting in my life right now? Meaning that we quite literally manifest things in our lives which we are attracting. We could be attracting it because of the way we interpret life, the way we interpret other people, the way we interpret life situations, etc., etc. Whatever our thinking is, we quite literally attract that to be manifested in our lives. And this is quite obvious when you find yourself in repeat situations again and again in your life. And believe me, everyone, every single human being finds themselves in repeat situations over and over again. And like I said in the very beginning of this video, while it may sound like something which makes you want to pull your hair off, these repeat situations are actually life lessons. These repeat situations are actually opportunities, and opportunities for you to make yourself aware of whatever it is that you are doing to manifest this situation again and again in your life. In the Hindi video that I just linked above, there was an example which I gave of a guy named Kabir who is wanting to be in a very intimate relationship with a girl who has been for the last 4 5 years now been facing rejections left, right, and center from girls due to whatever XYZ reasons. And this guy right now is in a state of mind where he hates women, where he hates girls, and he has the internet also to thank for it because there are so many things available right now which will quite easily make him hate other women. And now, in this kind of a state of mind, in this kind of a perspective, this guy is quite literally attracting more rejections. He's making his own life situations in a manner that he will only attract women who will later reject him because of the way he is functioning right now. And while this may trigger people, while this may make them think that I'm putting the blame on the victim, that's not at all what I'm doing. This is not gaslighting. What I'm talking about is a very fundamental reality of our lives. Like we have talked about a gazillion times on this channel, we see the world as we are, not as the world is. And the way you see the world starts to appear that way. And the world will only start to serve more and more examples for you to actually confirm your existing bias because you will not even look at the other examples. And therefore, how this is relevant to this particular question is that if you're finding yourself in a repeat situation again and again and again in your life, what you need to do is instead of focusing on why is life serving me this repeat situation again and again, try to look at it, what am I doing to actually attract this repeat situation again. Now, none of this means that you are causing everything bad that is going on in your life. This is absolutely true. You may get cancer and you may not be responsible for it. You may meet with an accident and you may not be responsible for it. So, I'm not trying to gaslight the victim into feeling that whatever is happening in your life is happening because of you. That's not, our lives are not as simple as that. We live in quite a complex universe, right? But having said all of that, it is also true that quite often in our lives, especially in repeat situations that we keep on facing, we are doing something, we might be doing something to actually keep attracting that repeat situation in our lives. And that is the part which I want you to focus on. For example, tying it back to the complete question that you had asked me, you had also mentioned that you want to live with someone, you are maybe in a relationship with someone with whom your feelings are mutual, you want to be intimate with them, but you're not able to do so. Why is life not enabling this situation for you? That is your question. I want you to reverse the question for yourself. I want you to start thinking, how is it that you are causing the situation because of which you are not able to live with that person? What I mean is, because of the fact that I know you are an Indian, because of the fact that I know you are a boy in India, I know that in the mythology of Indian boys, there is something rooted deep down, which is because of maybe the Maryada Purushottam Ram stories that we have heard as kids, where we feel that Our parents can never really be wrong, or rather we may feel that we always need to follow what our parents are saying, or we always need to respect our parents in the sense that they may never be wrong. And this is something that Indian boys may never outgrow. While I want you to focus on how this particular line of thinking could actually be attracting this situation in your life, and especially if this is happening again and again, it could be that you are the one who's attracting this situation in your life. Because while it is true that almost all parents want things that are good for their kids, they may be so attached to their old beliefs, to their old ways of looking at life, that they may be limiting their own kids. And this is something, of course, to go deeper into your specific situation, I would recommend you to book a one on one session with me and we go into it together. But if not, this is one example where you could think that you could question life, that why is God not enabling the situation for you? If there is love at both sides, why is this not happening for me? You could keep doing that and you can keep questioning that till you're blue in your face. But what I want you to focus on is the other way around. How is it that life has enabled me to meet this person and I'm with this person, but if this is still not happening, if there is still something blocking, what is it that I could be doing that is actually causing this thing, that is causing a barrier from this thing to happen? I want you to start focusing on that, because that is exactly where the law of attraction works. I want you to start to co create your life. Rather, like I mentioned in the first point, we are always co creating our life. We always have a free will, whether we realize it consciously or not. And therefore, I want you to start to focus on how you can co create your life more consciously, how you can actually become aware of things that you could be attracting, things that you could be doing that are attracting repeat situations in your life again and again. And the action items there would obviously be uncomfortable things that you may have to do to actually get out of the repeat patterns. Do not entangle yourself like that drowning man who was being sent life saviors left, right, and center, and this guy was rejecting because he was holding on to the belief that God will come and save him. We all co-create our life keeps on happening for us, but we have to be present. We have to make the choice to let life happen for us. I want you to start focusing on that, which layers into the third point I want to talk about, and that is outcomes. No matter how much you do, no matter how much co-creating you do, no matter how much free will you get, no matter how much you work in the direction of the law of attraction to make sure that you're not attracting repeat situations in your lives, no matter how enlightened you become, no matter how self-aware you become, you cannot control outcomes, which is basically the life situations that we find ourselves in again and again. Not same, similar life situations, even different life situations. Every situation that we find ourselves in is not something that we can 100% exert our control over. We are not that separate from life to be able to control everything that is happening. We are involved in life, and life is emerging as life is emerging. We are emerging as life is emerging, and we do not get to have complete 100% control over outcomes that we want. In your complete question, you had also mentioned something about your work, wherein you're putting in a lot of work, you're putting in a lot of hard work, but you're still not able to get the salary or the promotion or the job change that you think you deserve because you're putting in all the effort. Now, I want you to focus on this, my brother. You should be working hard. You should be moving towards the direction that is calling you out. You should be working hard in that direction. But the fact that you are working hard cannot guarantee that you will also receive the outcome. It's the one example that comes to my mind is there are lakhs of boys in India who work hard on their cricket. A lot of them do, right? There would be lakhs of boys, but eventually there will only be around 100 guys who would be selected in the national teams, and there would eventually be only 11 of them who will get to represent their country. But does that really mean that the remaining 999,000 boys or whatever, they were not doing all the effort, or life was not happening for them, or something cheated them out of their opportunities, etc.? No, of course not. You should not think of life in terms of only the outcomes. It's only when we start to think of life in terms of the outcomes that we come up with things like, why is life not happening for me? It's high time that I should receive the outcomes, etc. I would rather say focus more on the process, focus more on doing things that you like to do, and outcomes will be like happy side effects. It's almost like saying, if you're actually enjoying doing the work that you're doing, that is such a beautiful way to spend your day. And if outcomes also start to happen for you, that's icing on top of the cake. Consider all the professions that you can think about. How many views my YouTube videos will get, how much salary your next company will give you, how many clients will someone's freelancing gig land. We cannot control them. We just simply cannot control them. No matter how much self awareness work you do, no matter how much law of attraction based manifestations you do, you cannot control the outcomes you will find yourself in the very next moment. And therefore, I want you to sort of unlearn the attachment to these outcomes. I know it's hard. I know all of us want outcomes in our lives. But if you actually believe that your life is happening for you, not to you, if you're working under this assumption, you have to also assume that no matter how big of a magnitude the bad situation in your life brings, and no matter how frequently those bad situations keep happening, they're happening for you. How do you know that? Because they're happening, and life happens for you, not to you. But again, does it need to keep happening that way? You get to have a say in it. You get to have to co-create your life, but you do not get to have control, 100% control over the outcomes that your actions or that all of life with its momentum brings. That's it. That's all I wanted to say in today's video. I hope you find this useful. If you did, you should subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You should consider joining our member community if you haven't already. And you should share this with your friends and family. You may not know how much people need to hear messages such as this. Until next time, peace out.